I mean, you're never finished with transition or the challenges of life, but just know that you guys listening out there, you're not by yourself. No man is an island, and there's a community. So all you need to do is just reach out. There's support everywhere, and make sure that in challenging times to open up and be honest and to grow. That's how we grow. It's a journey, right? And everything will pass, right? The feeling that you have right now, it will pass. Just stay the course, stay connected with people, and know that you're not by yourself.
What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday, which means we're back. I'm excited to say that last week was not going to happen again. We were moving back to Utah, and I just did not have the bandwidth to give you guys the best of the best. So I decided to push it off a week. But we're back, and we're joined today by NFL legend Donnie Edwards. I mean, this guy's incredible. He played at UCLA, earned a master's while he was there, was drafted into the NFL, played a while for the Kansas City Chiefs, went back home, played for the San Diego Chargers, and then finished his career with the Chiefs. He was All-Pro. He was Pro Bowl. He was awarded the NFL Alumni Linebacker of the Year in 2004. He was an All-American in college. He had 1,500 tackles in the NFL. He had 24 sacks, and I think to this day a league record for linebackers, which is 28 interceptions. But more importantly, why I'm so excited for you guys to listen today is his perspective on transitions, and not just college to pro or athletics to not, just life. He talks a lot about how we all have transitions, we all have battles, we all have things that we're going through, and he has some really incredible perspective and tools and stories that are going to help anyone going through any kind of transition. So very, very cool episode. Amazing guy doing a lot of cool things. You'll hear a lot about his foundation as well. So hope you enjoy. Let's jump right in. But Donnie, I mean, cannot express how grateful we are to have you on the show. The things you've done on and off the field are legendary. Like I can't think of another word, just because of the nature of what you've done since retiring. So thank you so much for being here and letting us know what you've been up to.
No, it's been wonderful. It's been a great journey for sure. You look at where we are today. I mean, it's 2023. It's just pretty amazing. I mean, just coming back from the Chiefs Eagles game yesterday. Looking at these warriors on the field that are throwing themselves around, and it's interesting because I was on the field for the game, and just to see the intensity and the ferociousness of these young gladiators, it's truly incredible. I mean, being at my age now, I just turned 50, and I turned to my wife. I said, honey, I can't believe I used to do that, because like I'm looking at these massive guys and how fast they're going, and like now it's just truly amazing. I mean, and I'm just so proud of what the game of football has provided me in my life. Just going full circle, watching from a fan now, and thinking back 30 years, 30 plus years ago when I first started playing football when I was 7 years old. And just the journey that it's just been pretty amazing. I mean, looking at where we are right now, and the platform of giving back and serving others with the best defense foundation is just truly remarkable. And I'm just truly proud to be in this space that I'm at right now.
Yeah, very cool. And we're going to talk about your foundation a little bit later on. By the way, you look great at 50. I would have guessed way younger than that. So congrats. You're doing something right. It's the yoga. That's another thing. That's another thing we're going to get to.
Yes.
I want to go just touch briefly on what you mentioned. You started at 7. I want to hear just a little bit of growing up. I know you were in a big family. Why did you get into sports? Who were your heroes back then? Was it your older sibling? I know a lot of people, it's their siblings or it's their parents, or they just naturally gravitate to sports. What was it for you?
Yeah, I tell you, I started at the Boys and Girls Club in San Diego, and that's how I started to to get involved in sports. I was a young kid, just taking time in the summer to occupy myself so I'm not on the streets.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends, we just started going to the Boys and Girls Club, and there was games, and there was like I was a 1984 foosball champion.
Love that.
Yeah.
We're gonna add that into the intro as the biggest moment of your career.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I started playing soccer, believe it or not. We
Yeah.
had like some intramural, soccer that we started playing, and I was really aggressive for some reason or another. I wasn't a big guy. I was kind of like still, tall and skinny. But I started playing a little too rough, and I started using elbows and
Yeah.
pushing and trying to get the ball and that kind of stuff.
They
And
don't like that in soccer.
no, and the coach was like, "Hey, I see that you have some aggressiveness in you.
Yeah.
Have you thought about playing tackle football?" I'm like, "No, but I would love to play tackle football."
Right.
And fast forward, that next summer is when I asked my mom if I could play tackle football, and she said yes.
Hmm.
And yeah, and that was my first year actually playing football. I forget the year it was, but it had to be around that time. Early 80s is when I
Yeah.
started playing. And I remember I started with number 18. So that was my first jersey, number 18. And why 18? Is because Charlie Joyner was a wide receiver for the San Diego Chargers back then. And I was
Yeah.
a huge fan of the Air Coryell days. And I know my first few years, I just, no, take that back. I had number 83, I think it was. Was it 83 or 18? Oh, yeah. So my first few years, I had like a whole bunch of my heroes'
Yeah.
jerseys. So, no, my first year I was 83. That's right. So Mighty Mites, I was 83.
Mighty
And 83
Mites.
was John, yeah,
That's
and that
great.
was John Jefferson. I remember it was John Jefferson. And then the next year was 18. It was Charlie Joyner.
Yeah.
I think I might have been Dan Fouts one year. So it's just pretty amazing because, like, just having, the NFL having an impact on my life as a young age,
Yeah.
was just truly incredible. And, having an opportunity to play football and
Right.
to get out some of this energy that was built up inside of me instead
Hmm.
of getting those like yellow cards in soccer. I was able to utilize my
Yeah.
aggressiveness on the football field to play. And I tell you, like, I really, really enjoyed playing football. I mean, of course, it's kind of scary, like getting out there and running
Right.
full speed into somebody when
Right.
you're 7, 8 years old. But I tell you, man, it was great because I learned so much. I mean, there's so much in the game of football, as you know, that transfers over to
For
the
sure.
game of life.
Yeah. No, very, very, very cool. You probably it's kind of funny visualizing you as a 7, 8 year old getting yellow cards and then being applauded once you switch over to football. You reply, "Oh, this is great. This is my sport." That's probably what got you hooked. Is you're like, "I'm not getting trouble anymore. I'm getting praise for this." So you continued your career. I did read you. I don't want to say you were like a late bloomer, but especially for playing linebacker. I mean,
Yeah.
there's an article I read. You were like a buck 70. I don't know if that was your whole high school career, but going into high school, at least you're a buck 70. So you don't think NFL linebacker when you hear that kind of weight. Um, but maybe that helped you kind of have this academic balance. You had this attitude of always taking school seriously and doing things to set yourself up outside of football from the beginning. Did being a quote unquote late bloomer have to do with that, or was that just something that was instilled in you from a young age?
No, I tell you, it kind of started at a young age. I was probably around 10, 11, 12 years old around that time. And I tell you, I make it a real quick. I know I tell the story quite a few times, about like the other direction and what changed my goal,
Yeah,
which gave me purpose every day to work hard on the football field and stay out of trouble and get good grades. It's when around this time actually, right before Thanksgiving, we went to um, San Jose, California, and this is one of those times where you do a host, like a team out there host
yeah,
the visiting team,
right, right, right.
and that was the first time that I was able to stay in someone else's home, to be in a whole different environment, whole different microcosm. And I stayed with a host family for a couple days, and this is my first time out of my neighborhood,
Yeah,
out of seeing something different. And I tell you, it was a huge eye opener for me to see a different life. And I never forget the father who was hosting us. When I asked him a question, I'm like, "Wow, this is really cool. You have a house, you have all this incredible, stuff and food and just things that I never saw before." And I asked him, I said, "What do you do? How'd you get this?" And he told me that he went to college. And I didn't even know what college was. I'm like, "What's college?" He's like, "It's school after you graduate from high school." I said, "Oh, I don't like school." He says, "Well, if you want to have this, you want to have this opportunity, you got to go to college." And I
Yeah.
never forgot that.
Wow.
And then fast forward another year, we're all sitting down, and my Pop Warner head coach, Rick Giordano, he brought us all up. We're all on one knee, and he was telling us about how we can go on to college for free through a scholarship if we do X, Y, and Z. And I never forget, I was sitting there, I'm like, college? And I remembered, I'm
Yeah.
like, I know that word. I know what's associated with. It's about, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do, coach? And he says, do X, Y, and Z, get good grades, stay out of trouble, and be the best you can be on the football field. And I said, boom, right then and there, Eric, I tell you, it changed my whole entire lens of how I saw myself, my future, and it just gave me incredible purpose
Mm-hmm.
to go after things and to be the best, And he also told me, he's like, if you're a true competitor, you got to give 100% in everything you do.
Yeah.
So if it's in the classroom, on the football field, in relationships, whatever you do, be the best if you're a true competitor. And I tell you, that kind of changed my whole focus moving forward. And ever since then, I started getting good grades, you know, um, and I did those things that were that they told me to do. And
Yeah.
I tell you, to be quite honest, I mean, I'm so happy that I did it because it kept me focused. It kept me out of trouble. It kept me out of just going with the flow. Some of the things in my community that's kind of easily to get caught up with,
Yeah.
kind of kept me focused to make sure that I did the right thing and stayed out of trouble, so I wouldn't lose my opportunity to get my scholarship to go to college.
Right.
And lo and behold, I was able to achieve a scholarship to go to UCLA.
Yep.
I was the last scholarship at UCLA back in 1991. I still talk about it. People think it's all, it's easy, but the only way I got to UCLA is because another linebacker turned down the opportunity and went to another school. I was committed to go to San Diego State, and I would have played with guys like Marshall Faulk and those
Would
guys
have been great too.
that year. But
Yeah.
yeah, it'd have been cool here in San Diego. But growing up and seeing the old rivalry between UCLA and USC, I just saw myself there and
Yeah.
was able to get that last scholarship and have an opportunity to excel and to go after some of the goals that I wanted. Like, the goal was to graduate from college. I
Yeah.
mean, not go to the NFL. My first goal was to graduate from college, to be the first one in my generation, not just my immediate family, the first one in my generation, my whole entire family, to go on and get a college degree,
Wow.
which is something that I really pushed myself, to do. And I started off, behind, so I had to work myself up with tutors and studying, and get to the point where I actually graduated early, and was the first one at UCLA to play both um, sports and
Football and
also to
baseball.
be in graduate school. Yeah, to be in graduate school.
Yeah.
And since then, there's been a number of student athletes that have done both, that have graduated early and used their eligibility to go on to graduate school as I did. And
Yeah.
I can say that I fulfilled this incredible dream of mine to be the first one of my generation to get a college degree, but more importantly, to also have a master's degree. So I have a
Yeah.
master's degree from UCLA in education, which is, just it's just truly. I'm very proud. I'm very proud because at the end of the day, it's all about the American dream, and that's why I love this flag over my shoulder here. Because with the tremendous opportunity and freedom that we have in this country, kids like myself could live the American dream,
Yeah.
and I'm living proof. So all the people that are giving back, helping out, challenging kids like myself growing up, it does work. It does make a difference because I'm living proof of it. I could have gone a whole different way. I mean, if I would have just jumped in the jumped in the current and
Yeah.
went down, as many people do in my community, or want something more for yourself and push yourself and to achieve more. And I tell you, looking back puts a big smile on my face because I know that it's possible. And that's why it's so important, when I do go back to the community to tell kids like, you can do it, you
Yeah.
know, you don't have to go this route, but there's other routes that you can go. There's a whole bunch of different avenues that you can go down, but it is possible. I promise you. So looking back, it was just, it's truly a blessing, and it puts a big smile on my face.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. I mean, I really, really cool to hear that you have this same kind of attitude now of giving back to kids and focusing on education and finding their path just because a guy simply said, hey, go to college, like, so, I was getting goosebumps as you were talking, saying, like, it is possible. You can make a difference as an adult, as someone that's been to school, as someone that has seen success from locking it in, on and off the field. Well, really, whether you're an athlete or not, like, the way that we can impact the next generation is bigger than we realize sometimes. So very, very cool that you have that just drilled into your mind. Also very cool that you just from that age locked it in and had this, sort of thirst for knowledge, right? Like getting 2 degrees. One was in poli sci, right? I think your
Correct.
undergrad was, um, you know, and I'm sure that's translated to the rest of your life. I actually just had a conversation the other day with, I'm on this team in Vegas with all these young guys, and I had lunch with one of their dads, and he just talked about, first of all, he had this great perspective. He's from, he's from Eastern Europe, former Soviet Union. So, I was asking, hey, what if this happens, or what if this happens, or what if this happens? Kind of just seeing how, his perspective as a dad, and he was like, well, that'd be fine. He's like, we'd figure it out. I've seen
Yeah.
much, much worse, and look where I am now, and where my family is now, and the things that I've been able to accomplish. After seeing the complete opposite in another part of the world, and his focus was so cool because he talked about the same thing. He said the important thing is that you're always learning, whether it is in a classroom or just from life, that you're paying attention, learning and improving, not making the same mistakes as other people, and also taking the good from other people, and then just getting better, right, every single day as a
Hmm.
human being, and
Hmm.
in this particular case as an athlete. So very cool that, I feel like I'm having that same conversation, and it's an important one for young people and young athletes to hear, which is a quest for knowledge, and improving yourself as a person is one that's worth taking, even though it's hard. And that leads me to my next question, which was, you were locked in, you had these goals, you had this vision because you were inspired. There had to be moments where it wasn't easy. You were juggling 2 sports in college. You were juggling 2 degrees in college. I mean, you were busy. You had a lot going on. Football isn't easy. Any sport, any extracurricular activity in high school and college isn't easy when it's played at a high level. Uh, were there moments that it felt like it was too much? Like, dang, I don't know if I can do this, or did you just have that drive that could push you through?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, because I look back and there's a lot of those moments, in my career at that time that were very challenging. I mean,
Yeah,
number one was the academics. I'll
right.
tell you. I mean, coming from from a public school, which I did well. I had a pretty good GPA average. And going into a university like UCLA, it was
Yeah,
highly academic and it was just like very challenging. So starting off, I had to start off in some remedial classes so I can get my my understanding of the concept ahead. And there was some doubt, like, am I smart enough? Am I able to comprehend and understand and be able to show my knowledge of this course, with the grades? Because I'll tell you, my first couple quarters were very challenging, because I had to like get conditioned to understanding how to study, how to
yeah,
learn, how to figure that out, how to figure it out, how to balance the challenges of football practice and the elements that have to do with this, but also with the academics as well, and be able to, achieve at it. And I was able to get some help and get some, some tutoring to understand how to do it, how to study, how to properly, do some things. And once I was able to overcome that and able to get some some grades to show that I am comprehending the concept and the subject, that was one relief off my back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, cool. So I'm okay now. I understand how to study, what it's about, and how to go about attacking these these courses. And then the second aspect was, from a physical standpoint, was my size. I
Yeah.
mean, hell, I mean, even now I'm barely 200 pounds.
Yeah.
It's like, and people look at me right now and they say, "Oh, you played football." I'm like, "Yeah." There's, what position did you play? I'm like, "What do I look like?" And they said, "Cornerback, wide
Yeah.
receiver."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, linebacker." And at that time, at the time in the 90s, I mean, linebackers were 255
Right.
pounds.
There were
Two
some big boys.
gapping,
Big boys.
yeah, big shoulder pads, playing
They
tackle to
had
tackle.
they had the neck roll too, right?
Yeah, but I thought I had to have that too because I had the big shoulder pads, the big neck
Yeah.
roll, and try to make myself look like a linebacker. I had to trick them that I am a linebacker. But
Right.
at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you look like. It matters about if you perform and excel on the field. I mean, the key for a linebacker is to make plays, and that's what I prided myself on, was making plays.
Yeah.
And once I got out of the mindset of like looking like a linebacker versus playing like a linebacker, Bobby Fields was my linebacker coach in college, and he knew I had some ability and some skill, right? So although I didn't look like a linebacker, I sure and hell played like a linebacker and got after it. So, um, you know, he told me, he's like, just keep working hard in the weight room. I mean, if you get the size, you get the size, but the key is to make plays. Donnie, be a playmaker. He said, be a playmaker. And once he instilled that in me, I got away from like looking like a linebacker
Yeah.
and like trying to do something that's not me. Because what happens, like coaches and people, they try to push you into being a certain type or
Yeah.
looking like a certain type. You need to get in the weight room. You need to put on 20 pounds. And I remember I did that. I tried to put on a bunch of weight by just eating. I mean, in college, I mean, we didn't have money. We didn't have, we didn't have the food. We only had training table during the football season. So all the coaches are telling me, to gain weight. So of course, I mean, I'm trying to gain weight by eating donuts and Del Taco and all these different stuff. And I just felt so slow. It wasn't
Yeah.
me. I put on like 10 pounds or 15 pounds, and I just felt not like myself.
It wasn't healthy weight by any means.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't. But here you are trying to gain weight. I mean, now we have the the knowledge and information about how to do it, like with the protein and
Yeah.
all this different stuff. But it wasn't like that when I was growing up in college. It was
For sure.
creatine and it was that place. It was creatine and some stuff like that. But that kind of stuff. Those are the challenges that I had. But once you overcome some of those challenges. The mental one was the schoolwork, obviously, that I can do it, and then the physical one was just my physical body and the football aspect. But once I overcome that academic to say that I can do it now, and I started getting the grades to show for that, and also when I started playing football, when I saw that I can make plays and get out of my head of looking like a linebacker, that's when I was able to excel and move past those challenging parts of my college career.
Yeah. Super cool. And obviously it worked out. You were an All-American at UCLA. Set a whole bunch of records. I listed those in the first part of this before you hopped on. But and then you were drafted to the Chiefs in the fourth round. I think you were the 98th pick. Does that sound right?
Correct. Correct.
Played there for 6 years. You went back to San Diego for 5. You were on a 5-year contract. That had to be cool, going back to San Diego, like a full circle moment. I mean, pretty incredible. Go play for your hometown. Actually, I want to ask about, like, how cool was that going back to San Diego? I mean, were you hoping
I
for
told
that?
you.
Were you always hoping for that, and then it happened, so you kind of willed it, or was it really just chance, and you're like, all right,
I mean,
yeah,
there's
this is great.
32 teams. You don't have a choice. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I mean, that's if they need your position. If I mean, there's a lot of
yeah,
variables in
for
that.
sure.
There's not. Yeah, you can't really pick and choose. The team that you go to. I mean, there's a lot of variables. But I'll tell you, like I told you when I first started playing football, my numbers, the people I looked up to were the Chargers. You know, when
Yeah.
I was growing up here in,
Right.
growing up here in San Diego, you know, I had all of these Air Coryell, offensive players, and these were the people I looked up to, and I said, it's got a dream come true to come full circle to grow up watching. My whole entire room was Chargers, and because I was here in San Diego, it's like, God, it'd be great to have that opportunity. And then all of a sudden, I'll never forget, I'm on the field, and I think it was like a preseason game, and I have my Charger helmet in my hand, and I'm looking at, Jack Murphy Stadium. That's what we called it back in the day,
Yeah.
Jack Murphy Stadium. And I'm looking up at the stands, and I remember being a young kid, being in the outfield when the Padres played there at the Boys and Girls Club, when they gave us tickets and we took a bus to go watch the Padre game, sitting in the outfield getting a little coupon for a hot dog and a Coke right by the scoreboard. And I'm looking at my helmet. I'm looking at Junior Seau, who I grew up watching in San Diego. I'm looking at my helmet, looking at my feet, looking at my body. I'm like, I'm in the NFL. And then I played for the San Diego Chargers.
Right.
And I remember Junior looked at me. He's like, "It's crazy, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah," because Junior's from San Diego as well.
Yeah.
He's from
Right.
Oceanside. And it was just a surreal moment that I took in. It was probably like, 10, 15 seconds, but I'm really happy that I took that moment in because I'll never forget. It all came full circle. I mean, just being a young kid, in San Diego, hoping and dreaming to have this opportunity to stand right here in this place on this field with the helmet in your hand, with the people around you. It's just a dream come true. And I'm glad I took that moment in because I'll never forget. But then after that, Junior slapped me on the back and said, "All right, the hell with that. Let's go.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Time to play.
No more fairy tale stories. Let's go.
Yeah,
It's time to work.
time to play.
Very,
Let's
very
go.
cool. No,
Let's
I
go."
think, I mean, that's incredible. It's also cool that it's a moment that stands out because you took in the moment, right? Which is hard to
Mhm.
do. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I want to ask, is that something that athletes and people in general, I always, athletes are always the first question, but I do, like you said, I do see so many overlaps and so many parallels between life and sports, so I always say athletes, but I really just mean people in general. You're into yoga now. Like I said, I'm jumping ahead. You're into yoga now, which is all about being in the moment. I mean, is there something to learn there that athletes can implement now that maybe you could have implemented better back then, about being in the moment and living in the moment, not worrying about what just happened or what's about to happen? Like, that's a skill. How do you develop that? How do you get better, and then how does that help you in your life?
Yeah, I wasn't ready for yoga when I first started yoga. I don't think I would have been ready for yoga when I was playing. And I always say to myself, God, I wish I would have learned, the things and the values of what yoga has provided me now
Yeah.
in my post career than I did when I was playing. But personally, it wasn't something that was very prevalent at the time.
Right.
And I don't think at my age I was able to comprehend, the things, with yoga. Um, but eventually I did get there. And my wife is the one who introduced me to it about a year or two after I retired. And I'll tell you, I mean, it was a learning experience. It's a process that I had to get through because just being patient, being in the moment is so important. And I couldn't get there because my whole entire life for 30 straight years, I was all about pushing, and excelling and being the best and taking advantage of every opportunity. There was no time just to relax and
Right.
just take it all in and
Right.
like look at all the incredible stuff that I did. That doesn't happen. That doesn't come from anywhere as a competitor, as an athlete, because you're always pushing, you're always going for it. But in yoga, it's the opposite. You're good is good enough. Like be in the moment and listen to your body. No, no, no. You can't listen to your body as a
Right.
competitor.
You gotta
You have
you
to,
gotta shut your
you have
body
to,
up.
yeah, you have to push through it. Like your body's
Right.
telling you this, but hell no. You
Right.
got to perform. You got to play. You got to compete. You got to win.
Right.
And I took that into yoga, which is so wrong, and but at the time, it was a journey, it was a process, right?
Yeah.
Because like during Shavasana, dude, I'm knocking out 100 push-ups, and everybody's trying to lay there and just take it all in, and I'm just
You're
rocking out 100 push-ups.
you're in the corner breathing heavy, like throwing everyone
Yeah,
else's
yeah,
shavasana
yeah.
off.
And I was like, oh
That's
my God, I look back now, and I'm like,
that's hilarious.
but that's where I was.
Yeah.
That's where I was at the time, and it's a process, right? It's a
Yeah.
process. It's a life, right? The process of life, and as we get older, we start learning, and I started to get balance in my life, with the yoga, because all of a sudden, like, my whole entire life has been pushing, going. So there was no balance. Like I was leaning way too far this way.
Yeah.
And then by having the yoga, by just, taking in the moment and just like, embracing yourself and just stopping and just breathing and just pausing, I was able to come back here to give me some balance, right? They talk
Yeah.
about the yin and the yang. And I was able to get some more balance that made me a more complete person.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I had some different viewpoints and feelings about that, but it's a process because I just, for my athlete, you got to keep
Yeah.
keep going after it and pushing. And, now I feel so much more a balanced and complete person
Yeah.
than I did before I got into yoga. So I mean, I'll tell you, yoga has been probably the biggest and most important thing that I've done since I retired. I mean, because it's really helped me grow as a person.
Yeah. I mean, that's really cool. I mean, an amazing parallel just into your transition. I don't want to skip over. Obviously, you played 2 more years after that stint with San Diego. An incredible career then came to an end. And I thought it was interesting, you had something that was now part of your DNA, pushing, striving, being the very best, doing push-ups during yoga. I mean, how hard was it to transition to just be like a quote unquote normal person, to find like that next thing after football? Like, was it hard to hang it up, or had you gotten to the point in your career where you're like, no, I'm good. I need to move on. I've kind of filled my cup with football. It's time to do something else, or was it tough?
Yes and no. Of course, like I got to that point because my 14th year I was injured. I
Yeah.
tore my quad at the end of my 13th year, so I stayed back here in California, just rehabbing and and taking care of my my quad, letting it heal. And after sitting out that year, um, I had a lot of thoughts go through my head. I mean, obviously, I still wanted to play.
Yeah.
Um, I got some other offers and was contemplating on coming back, and going after it. But after sitting back, I said, I think I'm good. I think I'm done. I mean, I don't want to risk. And I made it this far. If I go back out there, you know, what am I doing it for? Why am I playing? Because this is the only thing I know. What if the risks catch up to me?
Yeah.
After this long career, I break my neck, or or I get some traumatic brain injury or something like that, and that affects the rest of my life. So I started thinking about that, and I thought, okay, I'm ready. So I decided to to hang it up. But then you think, since you made that decision, it's going to be easy. But I tell you, it wasn't easy at all.
Yeah.
It's always a challenging moment. I mean, even if you come to the realization and say like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm hanging them up." It's still challenging because that's all I knew.
Yeah.
I mean, I started when I was 7 years old. 7 to 37 years old. It's a long time. That's 30 straight years of every September putting a football helmet on and playing football
Yeah.
and smashing into somebody that's bigger than me. And the workups that I had to do to get ready for each season, just my daily routine by waking up and working out and eating right and running and doing the right thing and studying. I mean, and I tell you, 2 years after, a year after, I was still doing it. And I never forget, like my wife, and I'm like a year or 2 years removed, 2 years removed. And my wife was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean what I'm doing?" She's like, "Why are you lifting? Like, why are you still running and working out like this?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like I wasn't even comprehending what she
Yeah.
was saying.
Right. It was just part of you now.
It's part of me. It's just who I am. It's my identity, right? It's my identity. I'm Donnie Edwards, the football player,
Yeah.
and I'm still like, Jack 230. She's like, you don't play football anymore. And that just gut punched me right there.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it. I'm like, damn, I don't play football
Right.
anymore. And she's like, you don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to lift like this anymore. You don't have to run anymore like this. You don't have to like eat healthy, all the time and focus on, on all these different things that you had to do when you're playing. Now you have freedom to do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, do what I want. Well,
What do I want to do?
yeah, exactly. What do I want to do? I don't know what to do. So
Right.
why do I wake up?
Right.
What do I do when I wake up? And that was challenging. It was really hard because that's all I knew.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. So now I'm looking, down range and trying to, okay, so what's next? And I'll tell you, that's challenging because I thought that I wanted to, get into TV, but I realized that, there's something more pulling me uh, somewhere else to do something, else,
Yeah.
because after a long career, I just wanted to take a time out from football and just pause and just breathe,
Yeah.
with the whole yoga, just step back and just take it all in. And so I just took a break and traveled. I traveled, just to see, like, take my mind off everything and just take it all in.
Yeah.
And and um, yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just started doing yoga, and it just really helped me. Then I figured that I'll go to school. I already have a master's degree, but I know the NFL has these incredible benefits for us to go back to school and have it be taken care of. So I applied to go to business school, and I was going to go the business school route, and I got talked out of it. Um, After having a master's and everything, I got talked out of it to do something else. But I was just trying to find some things to like keep me occupied
Yeah.
until I figure out like what's next, which is the
Right.
challenging part.
Right. Right. And figure out who you are. I mean, you hit it right on the head when you said I'm Donnie, the football player, right? Like you, every athlete I talk to has that same, not issue, but thing that they have to overcome, which is I've always identified myself. Everyone else identifies me as, the basketball player, and they identify you as the football player, so then you start telling yourself that that's all what you are, whether you realize it or not. Subconsciously you're thinking that's all that I am because that's all that I do and it's all that I know. So it makes sense that that's who you are. So finding that next identity isn't easy, tying yourself into something else. I'm not just Donnie Edwards, the football player, but I'm also the, you know, PhD candidate. And now I'm the yogi and, eventually, you got into these foundations, but it, it's so important to have more than one hat. And I truly believe that as I've done this show, the more I've realized I need that in my life and in my career to have those hats while I'm still playing, because you
Hmm.
can lose yourself and you can lose the bigger picture of life. Like this quest for knowledge is one of those things that you can lose when you're just so immersed. And not that anything should take precedence over the sport or over whatever you're 100% in, but if you have something else, it makes it a little easier. And so I have to imagine, when you talk to current athletes, do you ever talk about this? Is this talked about enough where maybe there's something else they can be putting, you know, into their lives so that they don't see themselves as one dimensional, so that when it comes time to hang it up, they don't have this? Or is this just inevitable?
Well, it's tough because you got to put 100% in everything you have
Right.
into your sport because, here today, gone tomorrow.
Right.
The NFL stands for not for long. And that's what it is. I
Right.
mean, you're not there for long. If you focus on the wrong thing and not focus on your job and what you're
Yeah.
doing, you're going to be gone.
Right.
So, I mean, I encourage kids to put every little ounce of everything they have into, their sport and their
Yeah.
game and to be the best player they can because it's here today and gone tomorrow.
Right. No, no, I think I mean, that's a great point. Okay, so let's
That's
talk.
tough. I mean, at the end of the day, Eric, I mean, if you're focused on some other things, like you're trying to like, look down range and say, okay, what I'm going to do when I retire and start focusing, putting energy on that, you're taking energy and focus away from, from playing, or you
Right.
could be studying, or you could
Right.
be like getting some treatment,
Right.
or you can be lifting weights or, or doing something. I mean, I want them to give 100% in football and in their sport because they have to do it. I mean, here's a time like you
Yeah.
get this little short window to excel, and you don't want to have any regrets looking back. Like, oh God, I can't believe I wasted my time. I was there because I was focusing on like going to medical school, or wanting to do another thing when I retired.
Right.
Can't do it. Can't
No,
do it. There's a time and place for everything, and it's all part of that journey that I talked about earlier.
yeah, no, 100%. Um, so you mentioned you kind of filled your time. You figured out things that you could do until you found your next thing. I mean, reading about you and knowing about you through the friends that we have in common, I'd say your next thing was these foundations that you've become a big part of. I'd love you to talk about those. I'd also love, I mean, because I'll push back just a little bit on what you said because I think maybe I didn't preface it correctly. I don't think anyone should be going to medical school or anything like that, but they could be doing yoga, right? They could be getting better at being in the present. They could be being involved at least in a foundation, which I think the NFL and these leagues do a really good job of helping
Mhm.
these players become part of something that's bigger than themselves. Just to help the mental side of it. Like I don't think most athletes aren't going to be ready for this transition. Like, hey, the second I finish, I'm going to be, a surgeon because I've also been doing, medical school while I was in the NFL. Obviously, that's,
Right.
it's impossible, but it might be a little bit easier of a transition because they've been helping other people. They've been seeing the bigger picture. They've been living in the moment. They've been more complete human beings, and they're able to hang their hat on that. And maybe it won't help, but I personally, what I'm finding is I think it will. The more athletes I talk to, and I'd love to hear your experiences with these foundations and the importance of immersing yourself into something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, I was talking about during the season. I mean,
Oh yeah,
obviously
yeah.
you have
No,
more.
of course, of
Yeah,
course.
I was just merely talking about the season, like in season. But when you have the free time in the in the off season to focus on those things, those are very important. Trust me, because I started at a young age with the Best Defense Foundation in Kansas City. Brenda Sneezik is the one who told us, like, we have a lot of eyeballs on us, and we can make a complete, we can make an impact, by serving and giving back to our communities, because a
Yeah,
lot of these young kids are looking up to us. And, she's the one that pushed me to get in the community, which really helped me. And I mean, that's kind of like why I'm where I'm at today.
yeah.
I mean, those kind of things are so important, and even to like focus on school, when you have time. I'm saying like not during the season, but in the off season
There's
to
all
focus
yeah.
on these things
There's always
to
a
make sure
period where
that
you're
you
gonna
have
have it.
some,
Yeah,
yep, to make sure you have something else to fall back on or to connect and like network or that kind of stuff when you get done playing. I mean, all those elements are important to make the complete player, so yeah, absolutely. It's so important. I mean, even like, incorporating yoga or some other aspect of that into your life to pause, it just gives you more balance,
yeah.
for sure.
Right.
Hmm.
Let's talk about BDF because I know that's still a big part of your life. I didn't realize that it started back when you were in Kansas City. So
Yeah.
I mean, how long have you been doing this? And tell people that are listening kind of what it's about and what inspired you to focus on this specific group of people.
Yeah, so Best Defense Foundation started back in 2000 or 2001 in Kansas City. The Chiefs did an incredible job of pushing their players to get involved in the community. And we started Best Defense is to, give back to the kids in the community, inner city kids, and, really push them to, to read and to stay out of trouble. And then things kind of like grown from the umbrella of Best Defense Foundation. We started another program called Jump for Life. It was an after school program that incorporated staying out of trouble, getting good grades, and setting goals and eating healthy. And these are the things that I thought that were really helpful for me when I was in
Yeah.
school to help me achieve my goal. So it was called Jump for Life. We did that for a number of years, and we're in a ton of schools. We had a full curriculum and had college kids, be the leaders of the different schools. And after, I mean, it was an incredible program. And then we kind of like, reformatted 6 years ago to focus on our military veterans, also under the Best Defense Foundation, to focus on our veterans, to give back to all those who served this country in uniform, and to say we remember you and we thank you. So our motto is very simple. It's taking care of the ones who took care of us, taking care of the
Very
ones
cool.
who took care of us. And we're all able to live in this beautiful, amazing country because of the service and sacrifice of all those that served this great nation. And it's important for us not to forget them, to thank them, to honor them, to recognize them, and more importantly, to celebrate them, for their service. And I realized how I got to the point of my life where I'm not at now, and it's because of those servicemen and women. And I want to say thank you, and I want to bring a bigger community to give back and give um, opportunities, to them, especially to our oldest generations, to our newest generation of veterans. And we started taking World War II veterans back to their battlefields, back to like Iwo Jima, Saipan, Tinian, Guam, Germany, Holland, and more recently to Normandy. So we're doing an incredible program. We have a charter with Delta Airlines, our partner, along with Michelin and Boeing and Nike, that just helps us really scale up our opportunities to give to our World War II veterans. I mean, to come back for the commemorations, for closure, camaraderie, for brotherhood. Just truly amazing. We just took 43 World War II veterans to Normandy
Wow.
this past June.
Wow.
And if you fly on Delta Airlines in the in-seat entertainment, on the chair, you'll see that we have a few videos. I think we have 4 videos on there of our program, and you hear different elements of the stories of the veterans, and it's just truly amazing. Just search for a Normandy or Delta or Charter or Best Defense, and you'll find it there. But I tell you, it's been truly an honor to give back to our greatest generation. It started with my grandfather, Maximino Razzle. He's a Native American Pearl Harbor survivor. He told me that you can achieve anything in America if you work hard, and I never forgot that. And
Yeah.
this is in his honor and his legacy to give back to his brothers and sisters.
Very cool.
And also to expand on that, it's not just our World War II veterans, it's also Vietnam veterans as well. We're going to be going back to Vietnam and giving our Vietnam veterans to go back on different terms, to go back on their terms,
Yeah.
and to finally give them the recognition for their service to this country during that difficult time of the Vietnam War. And fast forward, we also do a transition program we call the Stronghold with Special Forces and NFL players. There's so much similarity between us, and the challenges exist in that transition
Hmm.
aspect after we take the uniform off. So we have an incredible program that we do up in Utah. That's just been really, truly the next big thing that we're going to be focused on from the Best Defense Foundation, which is truly an honor. Just a lot of success with that, and also with our next generation, with our education programs. We just brought 8 next generation students with us on our charter to Normandy to walk the footsteps where history was created
Yeah.
with
Wow.
the men and women that created the history, and making sure that the next generation understands, how we got to be the great country that we are. I mean, obviously we know we have challenges and we have, internal conflicts, but there's no better country than America. And we have to realize, the foundation of what and how we came about. And all those 3 elements, from our Battlefield Return program to our education program and our transition program, we call the Stronghold. Those are our 3 pillars that we have at the Best Defense Foundation, where we're, fulfilling the full gamut of giving back to the past, the current, and the future.
Wow. That's incredible. Again, I have goosebumps. I mean, also just thinking about how cool it is, how full circle you are currently living your life. You were someone that was inspired and helped tremendously as a young kid, to focus on the right things to get what you wanted, and that's what you're helping young kids do. You were someone that lived where you lived and lived the life that you did because of your grandfather that came before you, and now you're helping giving back. You're someone that transitioned from something that you had given your all to, and then had to find your way after that, and you're helping others do that. So I mean, very, very cool what you're doing. um
Yeah, Eric, I tell you real quick. Let me just,
yeah.
it's interesting how it happens, right? Because like I thought I was going to be a football coach, going to coaching
Yeah.
or going to TV. I was doing TV for the NFL Network before, and thought I was going to go down that route. But like I told you, I just wanted to take a pause and take a step back. And I never forget having a conversation with the World War II veteran. I didn't know what I wanted to do. He said, well, what's next? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. And it's very unwavering for me right now because um, I feel insecure by not knowing. I've
Yeah.
always been a very secure and confident person, knowing exactly who I am and what I'm doing. And at this moment, it was challenging. It was difficult, to have that insecurity. But I'll never forget what he said. He said, Donnie, he said, follow your passion and you'll find your destination. Follow your passion and you'll find your destination. Well, previously, I've been taking World War II veterans back to their battlefields. Even when I
Yeah.
was playing football, playing
Yeah.
in the NFL. I mean, I started taking World War II veterans back to their battlefields back in 2006. So
Mm.
it's been a long time. And I didn't think anything about it. I think about starting a foundation, having a foundation. I'm just a football player.
Yeah.
I'm not in the military.
Right.
I just have this passion to serve and to give back and to thank them. So we're taking them back, and every year, subsequently, we're taking veterans back, but on a small scale,
Right.
small number of veterans.
Yeah.
And I realized that follow your passion and you'll find your destination. Fast forward, we're starting a 501c3, and doing it on a bigger scale because obviously, we're up against time now, and it's important that we serve our greatest generation and say thank you. And these are the men and women that never talked about it. I mean,
Right.
for years and years and years. I mean, we all know, like, oh yeah, Grandpa, yeah, he was in World War II, but he never talked about it. We always say this, never talked about it. But they never talked about it because it's not something that you want to share with your spouse or your kids because war is not exciting. War is not, you don't glorify war. It's ugly, it's dirty, it's sad, and it's bring back a whole bunch of horrific, memories. But when you surround those veterans together with like-minded veterans that speak the same language,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like all these memories and are purged because they start talking to the people that speak the same language, and all of a sudden they start sharing their stories, and they're getting it off their back. They're
Yeah.
finally talking about it. They're finally getting that closure, and that's what we do. You know, um, our programs are very unique with our Battle for Return programs because we don't bring family. And I know some people don't really understand that, but it's important for them to have that time away from family to be able to share and to discuss these things that they didn't talk about with you know the men and women that were there in the foxhole that
Yeah.
understand that language.
Right.
And it's been a success to do it that way. We record these stories for history and perpetuity. So we have them. Although, they're leaving us, we still have their voice right there where history was created, where they created the history. We have their voice recorded in their image. And it's just truly an important aspect of what we do. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing that we have, an incredible team of volunteers. Our Best Defense Foundation team is just absolutely incredible, from our doctors to our caretakers. I mean, our caretakers are all trained. They go through a training 24/7, um, uh, right there next to the veteran, taking care of them. And it's amazing because a lot of those caretakers are veterans themselves. Imagine like a Marine, a young Marine who just retired veteran, taking care of a World War II,
Yeah.
a
Really
Marine.
cool.
It's just that is just so powerful, and just truly honored to have so much support from our team to give back and to make it happen. Because no one can do it by themselves.
Yeah.
It takes a team, as you know, with everything.
Very cool. No, very, very cool. I mean, yeah, just the full circle, like I said, that you're living is incredible. Is there, you've done it yourself now as an athlete. You're helping other athletes and veterans do it, this transition. If you could say one or two things that they can do now, the name of the show is Now for Later. There's things that you can do now, whether it's, you have an hour here or there to do yoga, or to volunteer somewhere, or in the off season you can study or do an internship. If there's one or two things that you tell young athletes that they can do now to prepare for life later, whatever level they might finish, in middle school, high school, college, or as a pro, what can they do?
Well, I think it's up to them. Just try other things. Go outside your box.
Yeah.
Someone once told me, follow your passion and you'll find your destination.
Yeah, there you go.
So
There you go.
Follow your passion. Try different things. I mean, I never thought that I would be a yogi. I mean, I've, a lot of hours
Yeah.
in yoga. I mean, I'm certified yoga instructor, and just go after things. Find something that interests you, and to do it. You know, um, have that quiet time to yourself, and figure it out, and just go after it. I mean, it's up to you. It's
Yeah.
just there's not just one avenue to go down. There's a whole bunch of different avenues to go down, but always think about the next step. It's going to be helpful in that transition. I mean, look, transition is challenging. Transition is tough, and it's not just us as football players or military veterans when they get out of service. I mean, there's transition in everything.
Yeah.
If having a baby,
Right.
losing a loved one, losing your job, getting a new job, getting a new car. I mean, a new house, and I mean, there's a lot of transitions that we all go through. Everybody listening right now, we all go through different transitions in life. No one's, more difficult than the other. I mean, it's all part of it. So I would just say be optimistic, be optimistic, and take it in stride and understand where you are in the process. It's just a journey, it's a process. It's not, you're not going to stay here forever, but just stay with it. Keep walking. If you just keep walking, you'll find your destination. You don't know, but as long as you're walking, as long as you're doing something, you'll find your destination for sure.
That's
But if
right.
you're not doing anything and just standing still, you're not gonna get there. So just do something, get active, get moving. If it's donating your time at you know at a at a with a team, or donate your time at a center, or just something that's dear to you. Just
Yeah.
get moving and start doing something.
Very cool. No, that's awesome. All right, Donnie, we're gonna move into our last part, which is just rapid fire. I'm gonna ask you a bunch of quick questions. You can go as detailed as you want or as not. And then that'll be it for me. The first question is: do you have any phobias or fears? You're a big tough football guy, so again, I'm throwing that identity at you, saying that's what you are, so you better be tough. But do you have any phobias or fears?
Uh yes, I do for sure. I don't like bugs.
Bugs.
So yeah, I don't like bugs, and it's pretty interesting because some of the places we traveled to, I've been very fortunate. I've been to over 70 countries of the world.
Wow.
I've seen what the world's out there, and it's very different than here. I mean, you come up face to face with bugs you've never seen before, and some are pretty large.
Yeah.
And I never forget, I think we were in Costa Rica, and I know that they're talking about, these bugs, these insects, or these animals called scorpions. And they
Nasty.
said, be careful of scorpions. And we were talking about it the whole entire time. And then all of a sudden, I came face to face with this scorpion that was so close to the bed. And I just paused, and I'm like, oh my God. And I couldn't do it. So I woke my wife up. I took a
Oh
picture
no.
of it, and I woke my wife up, and I put it on
Yeah.
my phone right in her face. She's waking up. She's like, "Oh my God, scorpion!" I'm like, "Honey, you got to kill it. You got to get it. You got to get it." So
Oh,
I
she
couldn't do
she
it.
she becomes she's the one that's got to clean it up.
Oh, she had to go after it. So she had to scoop it up, put it in a box, and take it outside, or
That's
whatever
funny.
she did with it. But I couldn't even do it. I mean, she's always, she's the insect killer, or she, takes them outside. She's the one that takes care of all of those bugs. So it's kind of weird. I'm okay with like bigger animals, right?
Yeah.
I'm okay with bigger animals, but it's those little pesky bugs that just
Nasty.
don't really. Yeah, I
I'm
don't
with you
know.
there. I'm with you there. Do you have any hidden talents?
That's a good question. Hidden talents. Well, one of my hidden talents I kind of alluded to earlier, that I'm very, very good in foosball,
Ah,
and I
I like
would
that.
and I would challenge almost anyone. Um, so a lot of the little tournaments that I've played in along the way at bars and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I've always won. And I mean, I haven't played in a long time. Well, I do have a foosball table here at the house, so I challenge anyone.
Open entry.
Anyone that has stepped in this house, we always play foosball
That's
or
awesome.
pool,
Yeah.
but we don't play for money.
All
Every
right.
game's a bet. But I'm not a gambler. I never gamble when I go to Vegas, that kind of stuff. But every game's a bet, but I bet push-ups,
Love that.
lunges, burpees, that kind of stuff. So if you play me in my house, you're definitely going to get active, either pool or foosball or whatever game that we're playing. Trust me, you're going to get a workout in. And I've yet to lose at my house or
Wow.
anywhere in foosball. So yeah. And also in college, I was the our house champion as well. So
That sounds like a direct challenge. So when I'm in San Diego, I'm gonna have to. I might have to train now. We have a foosball table downstairs, so
all right,
maybe
get
I
on
should
it,
get
but
on it.
no spinning. I don't do spinning.
No,
We do
no, no,
have
none
some
of that. We'll keep it
rules.
clean.
Yeah,
We'll
I
keep it
have
clean.
some rules.
Yeah.
You can't score from the 5-man because you can put it in the slot and then slam it
Oh
in
yeah.
there. And you can so that kind of stuff. You can't knock it in like your 2-man can't knock it in the goal. Like it has to be a
High
deliberate
level.
shot.
High
Yeah,
level.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't play
Keeping
that
it
little crazy
classy.
stuff.
Keeping it classy.
Exactly. I mean, and these are the rules that are laid out before we play.
Yeah. All right. Who? I wanted to ask you this earlier, but then we skipped past it a little bit. You played 2 sports in college, football and baseball. Not easy to do. Not many people have done that at that high a level, or even less so at the next level. Who is, in your opinion, the greatest dual sport athlete?
Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson, hands down.
Well,
We
is he?
all
Is
want to
it?
be
I
Bo.
mean, is he the greatest athlete of all time? Then.
I have to say,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, he's up there. I mean, we're definitely talking about him for sure. I mean, there's a lot of great athletes out there. I mean, Deion Sanders is another incredible, phenomenal
Yep.
athlete.
Who did it? Who did them both? Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's hard to do. The eye hand coordination to do it on the highest level as
Right.
well in Major
Right.
League Baseball and football to be. I mean, hell, they could have been Hall of Famers in both sports. I
Right.
mean, those are the two guys that were my generation growing up. And yeah, we all wanted to be Bo Jackson. Growing up in high school, we all wanted to be Bo, and it's pretty amazing that we're buddies now, and I look at him, and Bo knows. I mean, we just played ping pong, and I'm not a big ping pong player, but there was a challenge set to me from a guy who is a very good ping pong player, and Bo was sitting next to me. He's like, Donnie, I got you. So, and Bo hasn't played ping pong in a long time, and it's pretty amazing that here's a guy. Talk about hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
He plays ping pong with both hands. Most of
Jeez.
us have a ping pong paddle in one hand, right?
Yeah.
Going like this, and a backhand. He transfers the paddle from left to right. It's amazing. He'll play this way, and then he'll slide the paddle in his left hand and go this way. I mean, it is truly incredible.
That I've
And
never heard of that. That's insane, actually.
and he does it seamlessly. You don't even
Wow.
see it. I mean, it's just
Wow.
incredible. I mean, Bo knows. I mean, remember that commercial?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just pretty amazing that, I mean, you talk about being an incredible athlete. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. I mean, it's just truly amazing.
That's crazy. Let's go to your. I got 4 more. Welcome to the NFL moment. Did you have one? Yeah.
Welcome to the NFL moment. During my rookie year, 1996, I'm on it's spring practice, like right after we get drafted. We
Yeah.
have a mini camp.
Start right away.
And I never forget. I'm on the sideline. We all have tape on our helmets with our last name on there. And I'm standing on the sideline, and I look over, and I see my teammate there. And we're all trying to introduce ourselves to each other. And it was Martin Bayless. Martin Bayless used to play for the Chargers, and Martin Bayless, he had a whole bunch of free football camps that he would bring out a whole bunch of like NFL players out to the camp. So this is our first time to be in a camp because most camps cost money. We couldn't afford it, of course. So
Yeah.
I went to the Martin Bayless free football camp, and I was one of the participants in his camp. And
Wow.
Martin Bayless came to my high school when I was a junior at Chula Vista High School and talked to our team that said, "Yeah, kid, you can do it." And I never forget, I was there, just trying to size him up, like,
Yeah.
okay, he's not that tall. He's not that tall. You know what I mean?
Right.
All
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
different stuff. Fast forward 5 years, all of a sudden, we're standing on the sideline together on the same exact team. And he's like, Donnie Edwards? I'm like, Martin Bayless? He's like, yes. I'm like, yeah, it's me. And then all of a sudden he said, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. He says, you're at my football camp. I said, yes, I was.
Wow.
And it was just full circle that, here it is. Like, this is this is a cycle. This is the wheel, right? So this
Yeah.
is my aha moment. Like, welcome to the NFL. Like, it is possible. You can do it. I was at a free football camp. Now I'm playing next to the same guy
Very cool.
who invited me, who was in
Yeah.
the NFL, and we're playing together as teammates. That was pretty surreal.
That's unreal. All right, two more. Who's the hardest person to tackle ever?
The guy with the football.
Okay, I like that. I like
The
that.
guy with the
They're all
football.
they're all hard. If they're
They're
if
all
they're if
hard.
they're in the if they're in the NFL, they're hard to tackle.
I'm telling you. I mean, some
There's not
people
one
are
that
at
stands
least.
out to you then, like one that
No, I
would
mean,
just run
it all
over.
depends on how I look at it, like
Yeah,
what game I look at it from. I mean,
yeah,
you got like guys like Emmitt Smith who can shake your butt in the hole, and like Barry Sanders, and you got guys that like Jerome Bettis, who I mean, it's a different runner, right? And it's a different style, but still difficult,
yeah,
right? I mean, get in the open field with Marshall Faulk. I mean, this guy was incredible. I mean, Terrell Davis. I mean, there's a number of guys. There's a number of guys. There's so many that you can look at, and it's hard to say one's more difficult than the other. No, they're all difficult, and they all have their skill. They're all incredible. Some are powerful. That will run down your throat if you're not ready for it, and some will shake you in a hole.
yeah.
They'll juke you in a hole. So it's all different. I mean, that's why I say the guy with the ball.
Good answer. Good answer. Safe answer. Smart
The
answer.
truth. No, it's not safe. It's the truth. Trust me. I played
Yeah,
the game. I know it.
yeah,
Trust me. And I'm sure other people will say the same too, because I mean, it's all difficult. And I prided myself on making the tackle, not missing
yeah,
tackles.
for sure.
I tackle low. I try to wrap up. I mean, because the key is to make plays. As Bobby Fields told me at UCLA, don't worry about anything else. Just make the play.
I like that.
Be a playmaker.
All right, I have a feeling how this question's going to go, but I'm gonna press you on it. Is there a GOAT in the NFL?
In my generation, hands down, Tom Brady. How
Yeah,
can you say otherwise?
I agree.
Seven,
I agree.
seven Super Bowl championships. It should have been more. It should have been what, 9?
Yeah,
I mean, he was in the dance a few more times.
right,
I mean, that's just incredible. Because those who play the game, we understand. Like just making it one time.
right. Makes
But
a great
but
career.
he's been to the dance, I believe, 9 times,
Yeah,
and 7 of those are victories, championships.
crazy.
And I mean, it was very evident when he left New England and went to Tampa Bay and won the Super Bowl that next year.
Crazy.
I mean, that is unbelievable. So, I mean, I know it's not just one person, especially on an NFL team. It's a team, of course,
Yeah,
but to look at it that way, I would say Tom Brady.
yeah.
And we have. I mean, how can you say otherwise?
I agree. I agree. So I'm glad I didn't even have to press you. I mean, growing up in Massachusetts, I was a diehard New England fan. I remember crying when they lost the Super Bowl to the Giants. It still haunts me to this day, and I'm not even really.
Okay, well, I'll tell you when I was crying and still haunts me to this day is January 2007 when I'm playing with the Chargers. We go 14-2, and we should beat the New England Patriots, and they come back and beat us.
Yeah, tough one.
14-2. We had the game won.
Dang, I actually remember watching that game.
All right, okay, we're not going to talk about
Eric.
Eric. We're not going to talk about that game.
Yeah, we're not going to bring that up. We're not going to bring up those feelings. We're not going to bring that
Oh
up.
man, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Those games you can't do it now. I mean, it's all memory now. It's all in the books now. But one of those games where I always look at, because that was a year that we had a team that could potentially would have won the championship that
Came
year.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's it for me. Donnie, legendary career, legendary things that you were doing since your career. Cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. Like any person that listens to this is hopefully inspired to do a little bit more. You talked about how transitioning is part of everyone's life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's you're moving or changing jobs or you have a kid, like you lose a loved one. There's a lot of transitions, and I think you gave them a lot of tools and a lot of things to think about when it comes time for them to experience one of those things. So thank you a million times over. I mean, what a huge deal to have you on this show. I can't thank you enough.
Well, thanks for having me. I really, appreciate it. This is something that's important to me. I mean, I never thought that I was going to go down this path, the second part of my career. I mean, think about, like, I'm in a transition health and wellness space.
Yeah.
I'm a transition coach helping my former NFL players. with life after the game, and also with our military, our special forces as well. So I mean to be completely honest, I never thought that I'll be in this space, but sometimes you can't control things, just happen. It kind of just moves you there,
Yeah,
right? And here I am, and I'm truly feel that I can be help, that I have purpose in my life, and there's a reason why I wake up. It's because I want to serve and help other people. At the same time, it helps me as well.
yeah,
You know, I mean, you're never finished with transition or the challenges of life, but just know that you guys listening out there, you're not by yourself. No man is an island, and there's a community. So all you need to do is just reach out. There's support everywhere, and make sure that in challenging times to open up and be honest and to grow. That's how we grow. It's a journey, right? And everything will pass, right? The feeling that you have right now, it will pass. Just stay the course, stay connected with people, and know that you're not by yourself.
very cool. Well, you're the guy for the job. Last thing, how can people find you, find your foundation, and how can they help support?
Yeah, for sure. So bestdefensefoundation.org is our website. We have social media as well, just Best Defense Foundation. And also, personally, Donnie Edwards on Instagram, and I encourage you to check it out for sure. Grab a tissue because there's some powerful stories there coming directly from the veterans. Like I said, we try to document and record these stories. And sadly, when I watch some of these videos, that I know that some of the veterans speaking have been gone for over 5 years. But you know what? They're still here. They're still here. We can still hear their stories directly from them. And those stories are on our YouTube page as well. So thank you for your time, Eric. I really appreciate you, giving me this opportunity to share a little bit about myself, a little bit about my career, and more importantly, what I'm doing now to give back and serve our veteran community. So thank you very much.